how I describe NLP is really it gives us the instruction manual for our mind. We've got this big supercomputer brain up here, we're born with it, but there's no instruction manual.
Right, buddy, here we are. The one, the only, my coach, Kelly Samson. How are you, mate?
Awesome, Gareth. Hey, great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. If I was going to talk about neurolinguistics, I was only going to talk about neurolinguistics with you.
That's what you choose, man.
So, buddy, what have you been up to? What have you been doing over the last sort of 12 months, 18 months since I seen you last?
Gee, it's all moving pretty fast. You know, there's all the whole last year was a bit of a curveball for everyone, and good lesson in adapting and rolling with the punches there. Then we had a great summer break, and this year's really started with a bang. You know, we've launched the new C4 Accelerator program that's kicking off. That's really exciting, and just kind of got our new growth journal printed. Put that up there.
Yes.
Daily growth journal. So
ruthless marketing, good work.
It's the second edition, and we've got the first one out. Progress over perfection, gathered the feedback, and then the second one in our hands, hot little hands, which is a real thrill.
And so tell me about C4. I haven't done the C4 program. So what's hot and spicy about the C4 program?
Yes, the C4 program, it's an 8-week program. It's all focused on everyone getting absolute clarity on where they're going, because we're finding so many people with COVID, they're like, well, where am I at now? Where am I going? What's next? What can I do? So clarity on where they're going, taking back full control of their lives. So taking control of their 4 core powers, superpowers, and letting go of the stuff they can't control. Creating fresh choice in the world, like figuring out what they want to do, exciting fresh choice, and being at choice rather than life dictating to them. And the other big C we're finding, real high value thing, or real much in need, is people backing themselves with conviction. So when they know what to do, then they can back themselves, trust themselves in the moment to move forward and make progress.
So given that, well, actually, tell us about those superpowers. What are the 4 superpowers? You struck my interest.
Yeah, nice. You might have touched on them in one of our courses. So our 4 core superpowers, and actually this is really on point for the whole COVID situation and stress and resilience, are we've all got these powers. Unfortunately, they were never taught at school. You know, if we were taught these things at school, there'd be a whole lot more resourceful people out there really thriving. And these are the only things we can control. So anyone who's got a bit of a control freak, and I'm a bit of a reformed control freak myself, this is a real kind of truth bomb, because there's so much out of our control. So our 4 core powers, the only things we can control are our thinking, taking control of our mindset, the inner dialogue, the movies we're making in our mind. And then controlling our thinking, we can control our emotions. Thinking and emotions are combined. Emotions just aren't random. We can actually, be aware. What am I thinking? I'm thinking I'm going to be out of a job. I'm thinking I'm going to fail. I'm thinking the person's going to leave me. That creates anxiety. So thinking, take control of those 2 powers. There are inner powers, and no one can see those. They're private. And then our external 2 powers are what we say, our conversations, and what we do, moving into action. So whenever we're feeling stuck, or we're feeling stressed or anxious, the offer is, reconnect with your 4 powers and see, are you controlling them? And then when you control them, what can you do differently?
Very cool. So you're talking about you've just defined linguistics pretty much, right? Just in those 4 powers. So the things we do, the things we say, the things we think, and the emotions that dredges up for us.
Yeah, bang on. So if someone's feeling anxiety, there's so much stress and anxiety out there. Someone's feeling anxious, and maybe they're getting paralyzed with, procrastinating, or, not making any progress, losing sleep, whether it's a person who has to give a presentation at work, or whether it's someone who hasn't got a job, or whatever the context is, sports. The offer is, okay, what are you thinking? What's the thoughts you're thinking? What are you saying to yourself? What's the movies in mind you're thinking? And anxiety is a head-based construct. It's a process we do rather than something we have. I'm thinking I'm going to fail. I'm thinking I'm going to get dropped from the team. I'm thinking I'm going to stuff up the presentation. And then they're making a movie. Okay, so catch that. Is that helping you? No. Do something different. What's a useful movie you can play? what can you do right in the moment? So someone's got anxiety about a presentation next week. Well, I could draft my notes. I could make a PowerPoint presentation. I could get some friends together and do a rehearsal. I can move into action. Action trumps anxiety.
Yep. Cool. Very cool. We'll get into that a wee bit more later on, man. Really want to comment on some tricks, tips and tricks, because there's the thing with linguistics, the neurolinguistic space is there's so many, right? There's so many little tools and tricks, and you just play them out, man. See which ones works for you.
Yeah, whole toolbox there we can use.
Now, given obviously what happened and being a entrepreneur yourself, how did you manage COVID, and what did you do to relax through that kind of period? Kind of recharge.
Yes, I kind of cast my mind back when COVID first hit here in New Zealand, when we first got that lockdown back in March. It was a real kind of, wow, what the hell, real curveball. And, we were asking ourselves, like, what's going to happen to the business? Is it going to really crash? What's going to happen in the economy? And so for us, it was really, bringing our sense of those four powers, bringing our sense of control, and, well, what can we control? And there's that part of it. The other part that was really useful for us as a business and a family was going, well, what's out of our control? The government lockdown, the borders closing, the economy, the COVID itself, all that was out of our control. So it was really acknowledging and accepting that so much is out of our control. So it's kind of like, in a way, we kind of brought our, I want to say walls, but walls is probably the wrong word, because we're still connected to other people, but our sense of family connection together. So, what we could control of our family and our connection. So acknowledging that stuff's out of our control, and keeping a positive mindset, keeping this optimistic mindset that, hey, it's a challenge. Together we can overcome it. We'll get through it. So it was really, that was how we dealt with the COVID in a way, doing a family budget, doing a business budget, some of those practical things. And then also finding the silver lining, like in COVID, in some ways, I actually enjoyed the lockdown in some ways, which might sound a bit bizarre because, we've got two young sons, I think like 5 and 4, 5.5 and 4. And it meant a whole lot more quality time with the family. We're really lucky we could leave the house and walk around the neighborhood or walk down to the beach. So loads of quality family time, which is a key part of resilience, getting out, moving the body, fresh air, and that family connection.
Yeah, mate, I think there's a couple of good gold nuggets in there, right? So when you do those family budgets and stuff, and if you have to, just knowing that if you have to, you can come back to this. You could live on this. That definitely maps a bit of a more positive outcome. And you're right, the silver lining for me was exactly the same, man. It was being able to spend more time with the kids, and that actually gave me a realization, right? That gave me that realization that, actually, the way I'm living, I'm not actually giving enough time to the family. It was a real watershed moment for me.
Yeah, me too. And actually, I've found since then, so it's almost a year on from the first lockdown, and I still feel that shift in me, focusing on the stuff that really matters rather than driving myself harder, driving the business, more success, so I can have the security and prosperity for the family, but I'm not enjoying the family. So it's a bit backwards. So it's real conscious, focus on the stuff that really matters, health, family.
Yeah. I wonder how many other people had that experience. I think it was quite a common theme.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the real benefits that hear so many more people working from home now, and hopefully enjoying that closer connection. Yeah.
So, buddy, obviously you're a bit of a ninja in the coaching space. You've done it for 20 plus years. So today I want to get into that. I want to get into self-development and leadership coaching and what you do. I want to dive into helping people to understand what neurolinguistics actually is and the benefits of it. I find with that space, because it's taught many different ways, and there are so many methodologies, and people have their biases, you end up getting lots of different variants of delivery, and therefore people have different experiences of it. So if we can try and simplify that as much as we can, that'll be awesome. And then finally, coach the coaches. Obviously, you are a coach of coaches. So some guidance for new people getting into the game is going to be pretty awesome, man, if we could get into that.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, so agenda.
So tell us about how your coaching journey started, mate.
I suppose it first started when I was back in the army. I joined the army at 16 and stayed there for 9 years and kind of went through the ranks a little bit. And I really enjoyed, like looking back, really enjoyed kind of training and mentoring soldiers. So that kind of empowering others. So I suppose the seed was planted there. And then when it really started in earnest was I was working in corporate. And bit cliche, like a really good salary, doing well at my job, but not enjoying it. The old trapped with the golden handcuffs. And then I was thinking, well, what more is there? I want more of a purpose to my life. Like how can I help people authentically? And then I was actually having a holiday in Thailand, and I met a coach, and I said, hey, how you going? What are you doing? She's like, I'm a coach. I'm like, oh yeah, football coach, hockey coach, what kind of coach? She's like, no, I'm a life coach. And I was like, what is that? And she gave me a coaching session. And at the end of it, it was a 1 hour coaching session. And I was like, mine was, I still remember it. And I was like, wow, she's like, I've got clarity and I've got a plan and I'm feeling motivated and inspired. And she hasn't told me anything. Like she hasn't given me any advice. She hasn't give me any instruction. It was all my own ideas. And I was like, wow, okay, Paul, I knew inside me, this is the path for me. So and then this might be a bit of the useful for people looking to get into coaching. So for me, I went and found a coaching course, easy as that, found a coaching course, did my first coaching course, loaded up on the skills, and then tried to coach anyone who'd stand still long enough.
Awesome. Hey, so when when you're in your corporate space and you had the golden handcuffs, as you were saying, how did you know that you didn't want to be there? Like, what were you experiencing when you were going through that?
I mean, it started off kind of gradual. Like this, like for me, it was quite a somatic, like feeling it in my body. Like I could be feeling good at home, and then I'd get into work and I'd start to feeling like drained, and my shoulders be hunched and a bit closed off, and but kind of my head kind of squashing in a bit.
Pressure.
That pressure, and it's kind of like constricted.
Yeah.
Like not open and expansive, like I'm walking outside on a sunny day. This is great. And then when I'd be leaving work, I'd be like, leaving work at 4:30, not even late, not even a big day, like 4:35, and I'd be like, I felt really drained, like really tired. And then I'd get home and get out of my work clothes, and I'd be like, oh, I'm feeling good again now. Like that's not a good sign.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it got to a point, and I mean, I had those kind of signals, and I kind of got this like sense and this gut intuition. I'd, like, wow, and actually the paycheck's really good. It makes sense to have a secure job. I've got the security. I've got, I don't know, holiday pay and sick pay. But eventually the feeling got so strong that I was like, okay, this is not working for me. And in a sense of unfulfillment, I had this kind of nagging question, like, what am I doing this for? Who am I doing it for?
And so we see people like that all the time, right? If I'm doing health and wellbeing elements for people in the corporate space, quite often I will meet a lot of people like that who are not feeling it. They're really not feeling it. What would you say to those people who need to make a change, but who are battling to make the change?
Yeah. So a couple of things in the this is advice I'd give myself looking back, is get really clear on your vision of success. Like get clear on where you want to go, what's important to you, what success looks like. So invest some time creating that picture. Like what's success, happiness, and fulfillment to you? Like really drill down on what's that picture, what does it feel like, and then the other part, so get clear on your vision, and then get clear on your why, get clear on your own personal values. That's your vision is kind of like your North Star you're following, and your values are your compass. When you got those two, then you can make smart choices for yourself. Yeah,
that'd be, man, I see so many people like that at the moment, who just, and it's affecting their physical health. They're overweight, they can't sleep, or they're making bad lifestyle choices. It's kind of backfill, and it's a very common theme.
And it flows into relationships and family. Like unfortunately, we don't have these separate buckets of life. We have a bad day at work. Some of it inevitably overflows into home life or friendships and health, like you say.
Yeah, man. Especially, I can only speak from the entrepreneurial lifestyle, but when you're blasting 60, 70-hour weeks, putting all your energy into building or creating something, there's not a lot left for anything else, man. So you're not exactly bringing your best version of yourself home, eh?
Not at all. Yeah, energy tank's empty, and unfortunately, we get a bit scratchy or grumpy, and the loved people closest to us can wear it.
Yeah. So along your journey, you picked up something called NLP, neurolinguistics. So if you were going to, first of all, how did you pick it up? And if you were going to describe it to someone, what would be your best attempt at a layman's description?
Yeah, sure. So how I found it, so when I left corporate, I did a coaching course, like an ICF aligned coaching course, which was good, it was a good foundation. And then I was coaching people. But what I found was with the kind of core foundation coaching skills, they're useful, but there's probably about, 10 or 15% of people I just couldn't quite, like pinpoint what was going on. I couldn't quite help them how they needed to be helped, or maybe they're coming back with the same issue. So I knew there must be something more out there. And that's when I started looking around, and I'd heard of NLP before, Neurolinguistic Programming, and then I delved into it deeper, and that's where I thought, well, okay, that's the missing part of the puzzle for me, is that those NLP skills. So that's how I found it. And so how I describe NLP is really, it gives us the instruction manual for our mind. Like, we've got this big supercomputer brain up here, we're born with it, but there's no instruction manual. Like, we go through life and we basically create our own instruction manual. We create our own sense of identity. We largely create our personality. We create our own beliefs. We create our values. We create our thinking structure. So we create all of that with a child's mind. So we go through life and we learn, 4 or 5, we learn things. And that, if I do that, I'm good. If I do that, I'm bad. This means that, I can't do that. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not likable, all that kind of old BS. So we make our own instruction manual, but obviously by the time we get to adult life, having an instruction manual that was written by a 5 or 6-year-old, not helping us.
Yeah.
So NLP gives us the tools to update our own instruction manual.
Nice, man. Yeah, I do want to get into that too. I want to get into that beliefs, values, identity programs, and meta programs. Not all of them, just 1 or 2. And you've kind of the control one, the perfectionist, the over responsibility program. We'll come back and grab that, because it's when you see these things playing out over and over and over in different parts of people's lives, you go, that's that.
Yeah.
and man, the moment you have clarity around that stuff, as you said at the start, it makes life so much easier to catch yourself just going, and you almost have a bit of a joke with yourself, right? You're like, I'm just doing that again. Yeah, man. I remember there was one moment in one of the courses I did with you guys. It was either with you or Jay, and one of you said to me, emotions are not real. And I went, what? How are emotions not real? And you're like, put it in my hand. And I went, And that was like it was so simple, but I just went, oh my God, of course they're not real. Of course they're manifested, but it's just little things like that neurolinguistics can offer you, where you just go, because in your head, you've mapped this whole idea, and the map is not the territory. We'll get into that as well, I suppose, that it's visceral. It's this real thing. You have to like overcome and manage, but it's
and that's one of the big gifts of or tools of NLP is what you're saying there is like we will have this view of reality, like we see reality through our filters, and then we fool ourselves, or we think that is reality. Yep. And then that's why there's so much conflict in the world, because we're seeing reality and then someone else has got a different view of reality, and those different views are clashing, and then they're like, no, I'm right, you're wrong. So one of the big gifts of NLP is where we get the awareness that my reality isn't a fact. It's just a belief, and beliefs can be changed. And then also how to connect with other people's maps.
Yeah. No, that's the big one there for me. Is one of the things that NLP gave me immediately was this ability to talk to my wife better. Like we could, and now have like these, because now I got it. I got what she was doing. I got what I was doing when we were communicating. So kind of disarmed any prior emotional kind of structure that we were running to our communication. So that was really interesting. And you guys tell us, don't go home and NLP all over your home environment. But naturally, Rookie goes home straight into NLPing with my wife. Oh, I'm sure everyone that's done that course has just gone home and done exactly the same thing. But and so I feel sorry for wives and husbands out there who know someone that's done neurolinguistics, because you're just so keen to share it, eh? Once you kind of click on a few different things.
Yeah, bang on. Yeah. And also what you're saying was, once we have awareness of the stuff, once we can see with clarity, oh yeah, I'm doing that there, or this is how I'm creating that problem, or this is this meta program I'm running. Once we have that awareness, then we have choice over it. And with choice comes power. Oh, I am doing it. And maybe the first 10 times it's, oh yeah, that's why I was doing it. It's kind of retrospective. And then next 10 times catches up in the moment. And then afterwards, oh, I'm about to do it. Now I can change it.
This podcast is brought to you by No Ugly Sleep, New Zealand's first scientifically developed sleep tonic. This product is literally armed to the teeth with the highest quality sleep precursors that were formulated to improve your body's natural sleep performance without the sedation, so you can sail off to dreamland and enjoy a great night's sleep. For our listeners, if you shoot across to our Sleep Loop shop and enter the code NOUGLY, you'll get a sweet ass 10% discount off a full month supply of No Ugly Sleep. So let's talk about some insights. So some of the things that NLP, or some examples of how NLP could be used for something like anxiety, for example, given that, we're all going through COVID, we don't know when this thing is going to end. There's a lot of people out there struggling, and the stress is real to them, right? So what are some insights you could give us around tools that NLP has for something like anxiety?
Yeah, anxiety is a really, really useful one to focus on, because it's so common out there, and the tools for stress and anxiety can be quite similar. So the first one, a real bit of a truth bomb, and it might be confronting, is that anxiety is not a thing. So it's in the dictionary, it's a noun, but you can't touch it. Like you say, you can't put it in your hand. So, and this can be confronting. With someone who's running anxiety, it's knowing that, hey, it's not an actual thing. I can't pick it up. I can't trip over a big pile of anxiety. Like I'm creating anxiety. So with that becomes the person can take back control of it. They're more empowered. Like, okay, I'm doing this to myself. Real personal responsibility statement, living above the line. Like, I'm creating this anxiety. And so the good news of that is, if I'm creating it, I can create something different. So really, really claiming it, like, okay, I'm doing this to myself. How is it helping me? Is it helping me? Because the purpose of anxiety is to keep us safe. It's got a positive intention, thinking of what could go wrong, and then ways around that, mitigation to those risks. So it's got a useful intention, but then catching it like, okay, it's not helping me. It's not helping me now. It's not keeping me totally safe. So catch that. Okay, it's not helping me. What else can I do? And then that's when the NLP strategy, figuring out, okay, how am I creating my anxiety? Okay, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm making movies and saying things to myself of the worst possible scenarios. So a meta program, and meta programs are core personality structures, how we do us. So one of those can be running worst case scenario, thinking of every possible thing that could go wrong, and then what can go wrong about that, and then what could go wrong about that, and taking it to the nth degree. And how we do it is we make that movie in our mind, make it really dramatic, maybe add a soundtrack, and then with that, pretty soon we're starting to feel anxious. So it's quite a short loop. And maybe part of that anxiety is we're referencing something that went wrong like decades and decades ago. Like, so for me, I used to be like completely petrified of public speaking. I'd avoid it like the plague. Like when I was working in corporate, they'd be, "Hey, Kelly, get up there and give a presentation for your team." I'd be like, laryngitis, sore hamstring. Can't come in that day. Sorry, something would come up.
Yeah.
And what was happening for me, like all in like a millisecond, when someone would say, "Hey, Kelly, can you give a presentation for your team?" I'd go into my mind, start thinking about, I'll get on stage, I'll speak too fast, I'll forget my lines, I'll choke up, I'll be boring. I'll think about that. I'll create that fantasy. It's a fantasy. And then like a millisecond after that, I'd go and be referencing when I gave my first school speech at 8 years old, and I had a really bad experience. So like I reference that, like outside of my awareness, unconsciously, I referenced that, and when I was 8 years old, I created a belief. That's where the kind of the coding we create. When I was 8 years old, I gave this first school speech, and I spoke too fast, and no one laughed at my jokes, and I felt like really embarrassed. My face was bright red, and I felt disconnected and from my classmates, separated and alone, and felt like I wasn't good enough. So I created a belief way back then. Obviously, I'm a terrible public speaker. That's obvious in my mind. Another belief that reinforced a belief, hey, I'm not good enough as a person. So I personalized it. Terrible public speaker. That obviously means I'm not a good person. I'm not good enough as a person. And then I created another belief. Well, this is really, really painful. So I created a belief, just don't do it. Like, it's painful. It feels embarrassing. That makes sense. Don't do it again. Like touching a hot stove. Don't do it.
Yeah. And it just gets embedded in your nervous system.
Yeah, it gets embedded in, and then before I know it, I'm 33 years old, working in corporate with a big phobia or anxiety of public speaking.
Oh.
So by knowing that, we can unpick it. You can go, okay, well, what's a positive thing I can focus on? What can I do? What's in my control?
So how would you unpack it? Just using that movie mind example. How could people what's a break pattern for people to get them thinking? For us in our space, it's obviously sleep anxiety, but it's the same. You can start thinking about money, you can start thinking about your relationship, you can start thinking about your job, all sorts of different things. So how could they use that movie mind technique to break the state that they're in?
Yeah, so for the break state thing might be a really effective one is get up and move the body. If you're sitting down and you're worried and you're kind of thinking unuseful things, simply get up, go for a walk around the house, get outside, walk around the block, move the body. That's going to break state. Certainly we move the body, the head and the body are connected, so move the body. The next thing is with anxiety, we're focusing on worst case scenarios, and we're often choosing to focus on things that we can't do or things that have gone wrong before, and we're forgetting what we do have. So we're forgetting that, hey, here I am, I'm this age in life, I've gone through all these challenges before in my life, I've survived them. So it's refocusing on that. It's focusing on what internal resources do you have? Do you have tenacity? Do you have focus? Do you have compassion? Do you have grit? What do you have? Source of presence? Do you have whatever all your internal resources are? And then also focusing on your past accomplishments. Focusing on your wins you have achieved throughout your life. Focusing on who you have around you and who can help you. So bringing your focus to the kind of positive side of the ledger.
And that will obviously pull you back to a more positive. It's probably why gratitude works as well, right? So gratitude's a big component. I know you guys have got the journals as well. So that's something that I'm a real big fan of, is getting it out of your head and onto a piece of paper.
Yeah, bang on. So the gratitude, we're focusing on the positives and rewiring our brain to focus on what's positive in our life, what we're grateful for.
Yep. I wonder if we should do a little bit of a live demo. What do you reckon?
Yeah, sure. You got something?
Yeah, I reckon we could do something. So the one I really, really like, I found very interesting and very useful or resourceful was the phobia technique.
The movie Rewind?
Yeah, movie rewind. I use that a lot. I remember I did this with a just over a Zoom call. I did this with a woman in down the line working for a company who was a career smoker, and she was adamant. So she'd already come to me with the idea. I want to stop smoking. I have to stop smoking. She said, "Sure enough, we have another meeting. Have you stopped smoking?" No. Okay. So, and we tried, goal setting. We tried visualizing. I said, look, I tried this technique with you, and we did the spinning technique, and she got cold sweats all over her body. Like at the end of this, like it's literally 3 minutes long, right? It's a tiny 3 to 5 minutes. And the end of the thing, she was like, "Oh my God, look at this!" And she was like literally dripping in sweat.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. I'd never seen this before. So I was like, whoa, okay, that's a first. But I didn't want to tell her that. And then the next week, "Hey, have you been smoking?" She's like, "Mate, I haven't been totally." So this is a pack a day smoker for like 20 plus years. She said, "I have 2 cigarettes." And she's like, I think I'm done. I think I'm finished." And I was like,
High five.
wow. So if that was, if you were to be, if I was to be scared of something right now, that I thought I know what it is. Sharks. I freaking hate sharks.
Yeah. When you say the spinning one, that's different from the movie Rewind one. Which one are you talking about with the spinning?
So with the smoker, I use the spinning technique. But I think they're both really useful. Whatever you think is a good impactful tool for us to share with people today. So which one would you prefer to use?
Well, I'm thinking, so for the anxiety one, there's another one where we can kind of capture the picture and recode it. That could be useful. Well, the movie Rewind's a little bit, probably a little bit complex for this call.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your trick for anxiety?
So have you got something that you're feeling stressed out about or anxious or?
Yeah.
Or maybe even like an uncomfortable, something that's bugging your
just time pressure,
your anxiety.
Time pressure, man. So like just juggling lots of balls at the moment. So that would be my big thing. Is just, oh my God, lots of deadlines coming up. How am I going to reach these deadlines? And I kind of trying to micro goal, just put one step in front of the other, but it's they're all kind of going whoa at the moment. So that would be the thing, is time pressure. And pressure in general, just around deadlines.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So just take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, just gently close your eyes. Breathing in, that's it. Nice and grounded and centered. Breathing in here. Nice. And then just get a sense of how you're representing that time pressure, and it sounds like a sense of overwhelm. It sounds like you kind of had your hands above your head, and just describe to me how you're experiencing those things. Is it stacking up, or what's going on there?
Yeah, man. Well, that's so interesting. You picked up on that. That's one of the skills, right? Yeah, I feel like there's just all these things sitting above me right now, and I'm trying not to drop any one of them.
Yeah, okay. And just get a sense of time, like here being here now today. Like how big does today seem? Is it quite thin, or like indicate with your hands like?
Today, yeah, there's a few, there's quite a few things on. So it definitely feels like if I was to put them, it feels like it's just I'm enclosed. There's just a lot around me at the moment.
You're almost trapped under it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just sit up nice and straight, and this with your hands, just kind of breathe in and just expand your sense of the day. Like get the sense of today, and just know that you can control your sense of today, and just see if you can expand today for yourself. Yeah. Expand your sense of today, and all those things that are juggling up there. Like, how can you reorder those? Do you need to kind of spread them out, or put some forward or back? Like, what's a better kind of way of organizing all those?
Yeah, I reckon the best thing for me to do right now is to straight line it. So like I said, I tried to micro goal it, but it still feels like it was kind of everywhere.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if I can see just the path forward, just to go that way, then that would be the optimal outcome.
Okay, so those things all kind of get juggling up there. So kind of more like lining them up, like bringing them in one line, and then seeing what's the first one, what's the second one.
Yep, 100%. Yep.
Yeah. And can you kind of get that sense that you've got this whole day and you're in control of the day? You can choose where you put your effort, put your energy.
Yeah, yeah. I can if I can get it, if it's right there in front of me, I can attack it. I can beat it.
So you're putting it there in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And what do you believe about this challenge ahead of you?
I don't, with the way it was, I don't know if I can get it all done in the time frame I've got. So there's the anxiety. But if one thing is in front of another thing, if it's ordered, then I can start to break them down as needed. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And what do you believe about yourself in regards to this challenge? What beliefs are you holding about yourself?
I definitely feel, like you said, I feel like a little bit of overwhelm, but because it's not structured. So if I can just get it structured, if it's all laid out, I know I'm going to be good. And so my feeling about it is I can do it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the key is getting that clear structure, putting it in front of you.
Yep.
Yeah, nice. And just one more question. And when you have it structured and you believe you can do it, like who's the person you're being? Who's the person you're showing up as? What's your sense of identity?
It's Coach G, baby. Yeah, man. I mean, I know I'm a skilled person at lots of different things in the health space. I've done a lot of different things across my lifetime. So, and that's where I'm getting tested right now. I'm getting tested across all of these domains. But I think, I can do this. I can do it if it's all structured.
Boom, there it is. So Coach G in the house. Coach G can do it. I can do it.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice one. Loving that big smile.
Mate, talk us through a couple of those tricks, because I know what you did to me just then, but help people out. So the first part of that was you kind of use some tactile cues. You kind of observed that I was positioning things above myself, and then you kind of reflected that back on me, helped me to kind of see a different way to kind of see things. Yeah. And then once I kind of had an ordered approach to it, you led me down a path of understanding my state of mind, and then finished it off with my state of feeling and then my state of being. So you kind of walked me through that process of clarity.
Yeah, bang on. So, so part of the toolset NLP and coaching is, hearing the person's words and also hearing how the body's communicating. So, key one was you're like, all these things stacked up in your hands here, and they're stacked up, and to me it sounded like overwhelm. So checking with you, these overwhelm, and then also when you're communicating, you had quite a very fast, rushed pace.
Yeah.
Well, let's just check in. Sounds like the day's on top of you. You're being dictated by the day. So I wanted to check in, like, where's your sense of time? We do big timelines in the course. How much of a day have you expanded that? So that was a key part, expanding it. And then once we did that, you pretty much went, okay, well, I can put those things in front of me, have them in a straight line, and they make sense. So there's a key shift there. And then the other part was the neurosemantic meta coaching part, which is, so there's the kind of core NLP, and then what we're doing is the neurosemantic meta coaching, which is the getting clear on your beliefs, your meanings, your significance, your values, your sense of identity. So I was asking those questions. What do you believe about you in a challenge? Oh, I believe I can do it. Like, I believe if it's structured, structured sound like a key word for you, and getting it ordered. Yeah, I've got this. And then who's the person, your identity statement? Who's the person you're showing up as? Coach G, baby. Coach G in the house.
Too good. So I hope people understand that, because it's if you're watching it, it might be a little bit subtle, like you wouldn't pick up on it, but you did like 3 or 4 different things in there to kind of lead people down. And that was always the thing for me that when I first found out about or learned about neurolinguistics was a very key message at the beginning was that you're not getting stuck in content. It's not your job to get stuck in content. It's your job to basically shine a mirror for people and just go, here, you know your own path out of this. I just need to give you the guidance to go there, right? That's one of my.
Yeah, and that's a really good point for people moving into coaching. We don't want to get stuck in the story or the content. We're looking for the process and the strategy, how a person's doing it. We can stay out of the content, help them update their strategy to something that's really working for them, and then you've got the key.
So perfect segue, man. If I'm a coach looking to get into neurolinguistics, what should I watch out for?
Well, the best step is to come on the NLP practitioner course, which is an awesome course. 8 days. We're fully live online now, and hopefully we're running another one in New Zealand coming up pretty soon. And that gives you the foundation for what NLP is, the presuppositions, the key tools, lots of hands-on experience, and you really be up and running to start putting into action.
Actually, I almost forgot about something. I wanted to ask you, what are your greatest success stories in coaching?
Greatest success stories. One just springs to mind. I was coaching a corporate manager. He's about 55, kind of GM level, really, really big team, really successful. And came to coaching. He was feeling very much under pressure and stressed and anxious, and kind of had this narrative like, hey, I'm failing at my job. I might need to leave, and what's it going to mean for the family? So that's part of his inner narrative running. And then once we start unpacking the coaching, he's running those meta programs of discounting himself, not acknowledging to himself how far he's come. And he shared that when he was going into big presentations, he might be presenting to the board or the leadership team. Really fascinating. He was having this extreme anxiety, like anxiety the night before, wasn't sleeping, wake up, only got about an hour or so sleep, really frayed, anxious driving to work, anxious at work. So by the time he got into the presentation, he's, not in a healthy state. And then, because he's not in a healthy state, the presentation doesn't go very well. So it's kind of a downward spiral. And when we unpacked it, part of his inner narrative, his inner story running, and this is, he didn't even know until we really unpacked it, was that they're going to see I'm not good enough. And then okay, if they see you're not good enough, what would that say about you? Oh, that I'm not a good leader. And what would that say about you? And what it came down to is he said, they're going to see I'm a dummy. Now, he's 55 years old, and even using the word dummy is quite, childlike. I'm like, well, that word dummy, like, where's that coming from? What's your earliest memory of that? And he's like, oh, I was, 5 years old at school, and I got my spelling test wrong or something, and my teacher made me stand up in front of the class and really humiliated me. So he had this old kind of belief structure and identity structure from, like, he was 50 years old. Poor guy, been carrying for 50 years old. Here as a senior manager. So we can bring that to the surface, into the sunshine, and say, hey, did you know this was there? He's like, no, I had no idea. Okay, so what's the purpose of it? How's it helping you? He's like, well, it's not helping me. It's really holding me back. Okay, so I know you're a smart, really intelligent guy. What's the point of holding on to it? What's the benefits you used to get from it? He's like, well, when I was really young, it motivated me to get better. If I was scared of being called a dummy again, it was like a real kind of fear-based motivation. I really got to put in more effort. Okay, 55 years old, can you let it go now? Yeah, I can. Man. What do you want to replace it with? Hey, I've got this. I'm in the right place.
That's so subtle. It's so subtle. You wouldn't pick up on that unless you've done, years and years of coaching. Because and the fact that you identified that it's the language of a 55-year-old shouldn't be. That's not common. That's really interesting. And so and he's kicking ass now. He's
thriving. He's out there thriving, and he's doing really well. I mean, it's great to see.
That's epic. I love those stories. I had a similar experience with a woman as well who had gone through some serious trauma, and on this trauma happened during these 4 coaching sessions. Someone died close to her in quite a horrific way. And I just wrote it off. I was like, look, I've got to switch to just support mode now because this is pretty serious. But the exact opposite happened. She spiraled up. So we had a second meeting. She's just got this news the day before. And then I thought, okay, right, that's it. She won't show up for the next couple of sessions. She's got this stuff to deal with. What happened next, I could have never anticipated. She got off drugs. There was an issue for her. She got her mother off drugs. That was an issue for her. She got her brother off drugs. She got them exercising every morning. And this all happened in the space of a couple of weeks. And so I get back on this phone call expecting to have a completely different discussion with this woman, thinking, how's it been? Like walking on eggshells with her, and not even expecting her to be on the call, to be honest. And tells me all the stuff that all these changes she's made in her life. And I was like, whoa, I'm the greatest coach ever. But isn't it interesting how some people can respond in the face of pretty gnarly stuff, and other people don't quite have the tools. But then when you give them the tools, man, you can see some pretty impactful, pretty positive things.
Yeah, 100%. And so with the NLP stuff, like some people are so surprised like how quickly and easily some of the change can make. Like with that leader I shared, for him it's using a kind of an analogy, was like there's a bit of old code he had written for him when he was 5 years old, and he'd been running that bit of old code for literally 50 years in the background, like a background app or something on your phone or your laptop. But once there's a bug in the system, and once we identified it, we can just update that bit of code, and that bit of code flows on to his whole life.
Yeah, rewiring, man.
Yeah, push the update. Like when you update an app on our phone, we can do that for ourselves too.
Okay, final 2 questions. Are you ready? These are the big sign-off questions. Okay, first one. If you could turn back the clock to 20-year-old Kelly, what advice would you give him?
So 20-year-old Kelly is having a lot of fun in life. He's living in London, which was all good. Probably the biggest advice I could give him was, hey, have a vision. Have a vision on where you want to go, what's important to you. Keep on having fun. Keep on enjoying the moment. And at the same time, have a vision where you want to go with where life is. And the other big bit of advice I'd give him, because when I was back then, I was having loads of fun, I was outwardly confident, but inside I was a big ball of insecurities. Not that I wouldn't acknowledge it to myself, and I wouldn't acknowledge it to anyone else.
Yeah.
But say, hey, back yourself. It's back yourself. Everyone's learning and growing. Step into that uncomfortable zone and try anything you want.
Be vulnerable. I like it, man. I like it. And then the final question I've got for you is your top 3 tips for living a healthy and abundant life.
That's a goodie. My top 3 tips for living a healthy and abundant life would be, hey, focus on what's important, health and family. I'm really conscious that, hey, that's what it's about, like how we started the call, focus on the important stuff, the connection. Another top tip is have fun in life. It's going by so fast to not have fun. And I find that when I have fun, things go easier anyway. When I have fun, things go better. So connect with what brings you fun and enjoyment and do more of it. And my other tip would be have those goals. Have the goals and back yourself to do one scary thing every day.
One scary thing every day. That's a lot of scary things, mister.
Well, it might just be having a conversation, right? It might be having a conversation with someone, or it might be trying something new.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, man. I would do almost exactly the same thing, being a fellow anxious, anxiety vessel of anxiety when I was in my 20s. It's so funny, like, because we've got similar backgrounds and growing up in the army. You probably grew up in the real army. You were a little bit earlier than me. I came to the fluffier army, but a lot of lads, especially young men who join the army, have a very similar story. A very similar story, and that experience kind of helps shape us a wee bit.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think almost everyone, in the teenagers, 20s and 30s, and even later, has got, holds some anxiety, creates some anxiety, and some sense of that, imposter syndrome, and I'm going to be found out. I think there's that kind of false personality we make, and then we judge ourselves for not being there.
Like you said, if we just landed at school,
yeah, bang on, mate.
It would be a different story, man.
Yeah.
Well, mate, that was awesome. I really appreciate your time. I'm sure we'll probably do it again, and I'm sure we'll have some coaching sessions in the future.
Yeah, look forward to it. Great to be here.
Thank you much. Thank you very much.
Awesome, G.
That's us. We're out.
Sweet.